Welcome to part 6 of our trip from Bakersfield to Long Beach. Currently going through the Palmdale Junction right here. That's what we're looking at. And then making our way down to West Colton Yard. We'll be going past West Colton, but we're heading that direction. And the next stretch of trip here, there's a large sections where there's literally nothing. It's just straight, flat, and there's just nothing. So I'm going to fast forward, cut some of those parts out to just prevent you from total boredom, even though you might already be there. But just in case you were wondering, I'm going to get through those parts a little bit quicker here. Should be jumping up to a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit pretty soon. So this has got to be Palmdale right here, this siding. Oh, now we can take her up to 60. I think I'll just pull the fence right off. Just get everything into notch 8. Up here, just one house, one person living out here. All right, here's Vulcan Materials here on the right. Milepost 428.2. Over here, is that a trailer that's messed up? Yeah, look at that. It probably just abandoned. The car's down halfway buried in the dirt. Must have just left it. Oh yeah, here's SoCal Edison on the left. Now we're starting to head downhill. Gotta keep it under 40. Get some construction going on here. Maybe they're fixing part of the track or this little embankment. You can see the BNSF tracks way down there in the distance. So we're coming up to Highland will be the next siding, and then the Silverwood turnout will be after that. Here's Highland coming up, and then I'm dropping down to 30 miles an hour and 2.5 miles. So I got the dynamic brakes on the lead, or the lead's in dynamic now, just coasting. But I got the mid and rears in notch 1, so they're helping push. Because I'm slowing down a little bit too much. I'm going to put the rears in notch 2, just until we get over this crest at the summit. And that'll help keep everything bunched up. We're on a negative 1.2. The grade, that was the summit there. Let me set my counter. We're really starting to go downhill now. All right, now we're picking up speed because we slowed down quite a bit from 30 down to 23, but now the speed's going to pick up. But I'm keeping the rear DPUs pushing because they're still going probably uphill a little bit. But I got my counter going, so I know when they get near the summit, I could take them off. But now, yeah, as we get over this summit, we're picking up speed pretty quick. So I'll ease out of the rears down to notch 1. Oh, this is Silverwood right here. So if a UP train had to get over to Yermo and it was going north, it would go take this little connector, and it would shoot over to the BNSF tracks. So now that we've passed Silverwood, the next siding is going to be Canyon at milepost 469. It's a 9,154-foot siding. I'm going to go with a minimum set on the air. We're more than halfway over the summit. And it's slowing down a bit, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that because we're going to be picking up more speed. That'll give me a little bit of a cushion to work with. So I only did a 6-pound reduction. Well, I'm surprised we're really slowing down a lot still. I guess I'm going to have to ease up on the dynamics. thought we would have picked up a little more speed. We still have a mile of train still on the other side of the summit, so it'll change once because we're on a 2% downhill right now. See the BNSF tracks going through a tunnel down there. Now we're starting to pick up speed. Train's almost completely over the summit. Might need to grab a couple more pounds of air on the train brake. I think so. Let's do it. All right, so we're completely over the summit now. Brought the rears back down to not to brake 3. The lead is in dynamic brake 6, and I'm going up to 7. And then I got an 8-pound reduction on the train brake. Check the brake chart at the top. Yeah, you can see that dark blue in the front, so there's a lot of weight on the front, but that's what I want. So I think it's better, actually, than... I think in the past I would have it stretched out going downhill, but I think it's actually better to have it bunched up, because if for some reason, if it was stretched out, and then for some reason the brakes, something happened, went wrong in the rear, all that slack and weight would just come forward and probably cause some major problems. Whereas if we're all bunched up already, there's no surprise. You're not going to have a surprise amount of slack all of a sudden come charging, down the mountain at the lead engines. leaving the rear and mids in brake 4, and now I'm just controlling my speed with the lead unit's dynamics. It's working pretty well. Right where we're at, we're holding 29 miles per hour without having to make too many adjustments. That's perfect. So 8-pound reduction, brake 4 in the mid and rears, and brake 7 on the lead. We're holding right at 29, give or take. And now this is the canyon siding right here. This is a cool area with these unique rocks, these smooth rocks. This is the south end of Canyon. And the next siding that we're coming up to will be Dike. So we're not too far from West Colton. We're getting there. There's another BNSF train down there. Another container train coming up the pass. Probably heading out to Chicago. is milepost 475.1. So we got a few more miles till we get to Dike. downhill 2.3% here, so I think I'm going to actually have to put, yep, I got to put the mid and rears in B5. Maybe even B6. We're picking up speed. We're going a little over 30. There's milepost 478.3, so the next... we're 2 miles away from the dike siding. Yep, I'm gonna have to put the rears in B6. I think also as the track straightens out more, we obviously pick up more speed because there's a lot less resistance on the wheels. Now I'm up to B7. I might have to put another couple pounds of air on the train brake. And now it's slowing down. That did it. And this is a perfect spot to end part 6. So stay tuned. We might finish it in part 7. Otherwise, for sure in part 8.